Hi everyone, in this video I interview Nathan Hirsch of OutsourceSchool.com. Nathan is a foremost expert when it comes to hiring, managing, and outsourcing VAs, and he has years of experience doing this with his business and his clients. In this video we talk about all of the common questions that we're asked when it comes to hiring VAs for businesses, so if you're interested in hiring VAs, check out the video. Also, if you're interested in joining a community of like-minded people that come together to do hiring, managing, and outsourcing VAs better, as well as access to hundreds of guides that help you onboard and train your VAs, make sure you click the link below, outsourceschool.com, to get more information. Also, if you'd like some one-on-one coaching for a specific problem or specific scenario in your business, make sure you contact me and we can go ahead and schedule a one-on-one consultation to help you grow your team. All right. My name is Scott Cox with Scott Cox Consulting. And with me today, I have Nathan Hirsch with Outsource School and accounts service. Yes. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about, accounts balance if you want, and then obviously Outsource School, because the topic of today is VA hiring and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a longtime entrepreneur. I was a big Amazon seller. I started a pretty large Amazon business out of my college dorm room, and I hired a lot of VAs to grow that Amazon business, mostly because college kids were very unreliable. So that's how I got into the VA space and ended up building a marketplace called FreeUp that we grew to $12 million a year. It was a platform that provided pre-vetted VAs and freelancers. That company was acquired in 2019. And since then, we started Outsource School, which teaches people our unique hiring process for hiring really good people and keeping them around. And we have two monthly bookkeeping businesses, Ecom Balance and Accounts Balance. One's for e-commerce sellers, one's for other B2B businesses. Monthly bookkeeping, charge you on the first, books by the 15th each month. And yeah, our goal is to build a portfolio of businesses. We're always working on something. So it's a lot of fun just being an entrepreneur.
It is, man, especially when you got something that you're working on, you're passionate about, and really helps people. So I know we're kind of in this phase. Like, I feel like there's so many companies out there that haven't yet utilized, especially foreign VAs. I mean, let's be specific, right? Like, we're mainly talking about, there's VAs in the States and some, Western European countries and stuff like that. But I think what most people think of when they think VA now is like foreign VAs and, people from the Philippines and Serbia and, countries like that. So I feel like it's been around for a while. Like you said, you've been using them for a while. I know I've been using them in my businesses for a while. But I feel like so many businesses have yet to utilize them. And so this is like a really interesting topic, along with, I think, and we can get into this later, but AI being very prominent. I think when you can combine the two, VAs and AI, you have a really interesting dynamic there. So we'll talk about that near the end. Awesome, man. So I just want to kind of throw this out there. What do you think? Like, you've been working with VAs for a long time. You've been working with businesses trying to hire VAs for a long time. What do you think some of the biggest misconceptions are that business owners have when it comes to hiring? And we'll be specific, foreign VAs.
Yeah. So, I mean, we definitely push the limit on what you can hire VAs for. I think a lot of people hire VAs just for admin tasks, or in their mind, they can only do customer service or stuff like that.
Yeah.
We have VAs that do sales calls. We have VAs who will go on podcasts and be a guest on podcasts. We have VAs that'll do lead generation, and in our other company, they did recruitment, and there really isn't any part of the business that we don't use VAs for. Even our marketing team is a bunch of VAs doing different tasks. Now, the thing that people get wrong is you need good systems and processes for all these things. I'm not just going to hire a VA, even if they have sales experience, and put them on a call with my clients. I'm going to teach them my method, how I would do a call. I'm going to have them watch me do a call, learn, give them feedback and all that. And same thing on marketing. We have very specific SOPs on how we do stuff. And we're all about feedback and listening to them and using their past experience if we can improve our processes. But we have a very good starting point. So that's really key to us. And I think the last thing is just setting expectations. A lot of people don't let the VA know what they're getting into, don't know what the VA, don't let the VA know what you're going to expect out of them. And that leads to a lot of issues down the line, especially when it comes to internet issues or power issues, stuff like that. We spend extra time really setting expectations up front with the VAs so they know exactly what's expected of them going forward.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing, because those are a lot of things that I teach about too, is like So I recently did like just a little workshop for some of my network on hiring VAs, and a lot of them were like, how good are VAs? Can VAs do this? Can VAs do that? I'm like, look, VAs are good as your SOPs. Like as good as your SOPs are, that's how good your VAs will be. So, you need to be focused on creating those systems, documentation, and processes for those VAs to definitely operate from. What do you think? And this might tie in directly in, but maybe on a different line if you have something else in mind. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes are that people make, again, business owners make when looking to hire VAs?
Yeah, I mean, outside of expectations, like we're all about keeping people long term. Turnover is expensive, right? It
Mm,
crushes small businesses. It costs time. It costs money. If you're a new entrepreneur, it makes you frustrated and it makes you want to do everything yourself and not hire anymore. And you're never going to be able to compete with other business owners on money. There's always going to be someone
yeah,
out there that can
yeah,
pay your virtual assistant more than you can. So you have to figure out, how do I become this virtual assistant's favorite client? If you're not your VA's favorite client, there's always a risk their other client is going to hire them full time, or they're going to find a
yeah,
better opportunity. So the way you become their favorite client is you find out what matters to them. Is it stability? Is it flexible schedule? Is it long-term growth? Is it becoming a team leader in the future? Is it learning new skills? And really make sure that the role fits
mm,
them and that you're honoring your
yeah,
agreement with them. And for every VA, it's a little different. We've had VAs who they had a family and they had certain times they needed off to go pick up their kids. And just by creating a perfect schedule for them, they were super happy and they weren't going anywhere because no one else was giving them that exact schedule. And you have other people who don't want to be in the same role for 5 years. They want to upgrade and
yeah,
get different skills. So that's really how I look at it. It's like, how can I become the favorite client of this VA? How can I make them full-time and exclusive to me and get it so they work with me for years to come? When we sold Free Up, the same VAs that started with us in day one were with us 4 years later and we sold it. They're still with Free Up today. We really are all about hiring people full-time, long-term. And we're also going to avoid people that we don't think are going to stick around. If we know that we're just
mm,
a stepping stone for someone to get a different job, or they're going back to school in the future, or whatever it is, we're not interested in working with people like that. We want people who are going to become lifers and fall in love with the business, buy into it, become a part of the family inside the team, like working with us, and stay with us going forward, because we're investing a lot of time and energy into training them.
yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with all of that. That's awesome. And I think the thing with foreign VAs too is like, they have that stickability where sometimes, in Western countries, the US specifically, but a lot of other Western countries, there's a little bit more competition. And so, employees tend to have less loyalty as well. And so I think VAs just tend to, if you take care of them and like you said, you kind of set the expectations and you kind of meet their needs, they will just stick with you forever. And I love the way you put that as being their favorite client, because that's such a great perspective to have when thinking about hiring VAs. Um, how would you say the small business owners can start to find VAs? Like, so obviously there's freeup.net, right, at this point.
Yep.
And then there's, some other websites like onlinejobs.ph, and like obviously there's like, work, what's it called? Some of the freelancer websites. Oh, geez, I don't even use them. That's why I don't even know the names of them anymore. There's some different websites and stuff, but are those like the main ways, or there's some other ways to be able to find some VAs as well?
Yeah, I mean, Free Up, Upwork, Fiverr, onlinejobs.ph, those are the top ones. There's also a lot of just Facebook groups. Like if we're looking to
Mm,
hire, especially when we were recruiting for Free Up, we would have a job post and we post in a Facebook group and create a funnel where if they're interested, they fill out a type form that asks them questions. And then before we interview them, we already know if they're at least like 90% of the way, if they're a decent fit.
yeah.
So those are the ways that we use. I mean, there's always different VA agencies and marketplaces and stuff popping up here and there, but those are the main ones and the ones that we use.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously we don't want you to give away everything that you teach in Outsource School, but can you maybe give a couple of tips on how maybe like the interviewing process or the hiring process is different from hiring an in-office employee that people might be used to, and maybe just some tips on how to do that well with a foreign VA?
Yeah. So when we interview someone, we focus on what we call our CARE interview process, which is communication, attitudes, red flag, and experience. And a lot of
Mm,
people make a mistake. They're just focused on skill. They're just focused on what kind of experience does this person have? How long have they been doing it? And they hire someone really talented, but then it doesn't work out and they're wondering why. And it's usually because the attitude and the communication are not there. We want people that don't just care about money. We kind of talked about why, but people that care about like being part of a family and buying into a
mm,
company and working for something they believe in. People who just have a great attitude overall. They're passionate about what they do. If they're a graphic designer, they love doing graphic design above everything else. And communication, and this is where it's very different than hiring someone in the US in your office. They have to have really good communication skills. You don't want someone who takes forever to respond on Slack, or you can't understand what
hmm
they're saying, or you're going around in circles. You want someone who's quick to respond, who speaks English at a high level, who can get on the same page quickly, who answers questions directly. And when you find that trifecta of skill, attitude, and communication, that's when you make a really good hire. And that's a lot of what we teach at Outsource School. Now, the key here is the red flags. A lot of people, when they're doing interviews, they're looking for the right answers, and people are good at bullshitting those. You want to look for the wrong answers. What is someone telling
Right.
you that says they don't have the skill they say they do, they don't have the communication skills you need, or they don't have the right attitude for your company? And when you come across a red flag, it doesn't mean you just stop interviewing them. It could, but you really want to dig in further and figure out, all right, like, money's important to them. Why? Is there anything else? Like, you want to dig further into whatever that red flag is. So that's kind of my
Mm,
key for interviewing. And then once you interview someone, you want to spend time onboarding them before their first day. You want to really set the expectations. We call it our SICK onboarding method. It stands for schedule, issues, communication, and culture. And you're going to go through these things and make sure the VA is really okay with it. Have they worked the night shift before? The issues, like, are there any personal issues that can come up? Do they have a
hmm
backup internet, backup power? Do they lose power a lot? Stuff like that. So you're going through these things and really making sure that you've set expectations before they start on day one.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things there, like you said, that I learned, and I'm sure you learned the difficult way before there's anything else out there, like Outsource School, where like you hire a VA and everything is going well, and then they disappear for a shift, and you're like, what the heck? And then you hear from them like, yeah, my power went out because I live in the Philippines. There's typhoons, and the power just goes out for days at a time. Yeah, I think there's a lot of unique things there that business owners need to keep in mind. They need to ask questions about those things and then have great answers as well. One thing I've kind of noticed, and I don't know if it's based on where I've mainly hired, which has been a lot in the Philippines. But what I've noticed when hiring VAs is a lot come to me with previous bad experiences, whether it was a knowingly negligent business owner that was, misusing the VA, or unknowingly just treating them unfairly, or giving them having the wrong expectations, kind of thing, not on purpose, but just not knowing any better because they've never worked with foreign VAs before. Do you agree that that's kind of something that people need to be aware of when they're looking to hire foreign VAs? And how can people deal with that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mentioned. You want to become your virtual assistant's favorite client. A lot of VAs have had bad experience with other clients, and it can be pretty easy to have a better experience with someone in the past. An example of that is paying them on time. One of the quickest ways to piss off someone, or make a VA hate you, is if you are paying them late all the time, and that builds trust, and that reduces trust. And they've probably had clients in the past who didn't pay them or disappeared. So for me, it was like, hey, if we say we're going to pay you on Friday, we pay you on Friday. If there's some issue with the payment processor, we're communicating with them at a high level. We're keeping them posted. We're giving them an extra $5 as an apology, and we're building that trust from the beginning. And off of that, like doing what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to give a raise every once in a while, or have meetings a certain way, or give them a
Mm.
certain schedule, like you want to really figure out how can I be better than their past clients. And we'll even ask VAs, we're like, hey, tell me about a good client you had in the past. Why did you like working with them? Tell me about a bad client you had in the past. What were the issues? And that'll give you a really good framework on how to avoid those issues and turn it into a situation where they're super happy.
Awesome. Can you share like a really interesting or unique kind of success story that maybe you've had with a VA, where maybe even they've had a personal situation that because they were working for you, they were able to get through, or maybe they came to you, they were kind of a lower skilled worker, and then they, were able to, learn and build their skills and become, a more valuable part of the team.
Yeah, we hired a bookkeeping VA for free up, one of our best hires, Marius, and we hired him from day one. I think we started him at like $3 an hour, and we put in a program that his pay would go up as the business grew. And he also, when we met him, we thought he was like 12 years old. He just looked like a child. We didn't know, and he was running like all our billing, paying freelancers,
Oh my
charging
gosh.
clients, all of our bookkeeping. And we had fired a few bookkeepers before him too. And we knew like the whole business depended on having a really good bookkeeper. So he ended up being awesome. His pay grew to the point where he was getting about over $20 an hour by year 4. And when we sold the company, we took $500,000 from the sale and gave it to our team in the Philippines. And he got a big
Wow.
percentage of that. And he's still with Free Up today. We actually use his wife for our bookkeeping currently. So that's just one example of something that's gone a long way. Like we took a risk on him. It wasn't a sure thing. He didn't have a lot of VA experience, but ended up being a win-win for both of us. And we have a great relationship with him to this day.
What do you think made that work? Like you said, he didn't have a lot of experience as kind of a risk, but what do you think made that work for him to come in and have such success with you guys?
Well, he was a really talented person. He might not have had
Okay.
experience, but he knew his stuff with bookkeeping. And we even had a funny phrase. It was "Don't doubt Marius," because whenever we challenged something in the books, whenever we found something that was an issue, he always had something to back it up, and he was always right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, that he was an A player in that regard. His communication was great. We always knew, like, we never had to chase him or wonder where he was or when he'd come back or when his power would come on. And he had that right attitude. He really had that great
Yeah.
trifecta. He was looking for something he could be with long term, and that was important to him. So it was really that perfect trifecta of skill, attitude, and communication.
On that note, I think this is a big question that I get a lot is you had a VA in another country accessing obviously your banking, your payroll, your invoices for your accounts. How the heck do you trust someone that you've never met in person? I'm assuming, at least in the beginning. How the heck do you find someone and trust them and give them access to all of those accounts and high risk, areas of the business, and not have things go astray?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. As an entrepreneur, you can't be the only one that has access to your bank account or your credit cards or paying people. That's not scalable. You'll really struggle to grow if you do that. And I mean, there's things we do to protect us. Like we got a referral from someone. We did a good job vetting them and interviewing them. We got their license and stuff on file. We started off with just view only access and built trust with them over time. So there's certain things that we would do to protect ourselves. At the end of the day, there's always going to be a risk. Like you could take every precaution in the world, have them sign legal docs that you never enforce because you're not going to chase someone across the Philippines. And there's always going to be a risk. There's nothing that I or anyone else can do, but you have to be able to take those risks as an entrepreneur. And you've got to get out of the mentality that you're the only one that can do everything, especially when it comes to billing and finances.
How much time do you have? Do you need to get off? I just want to be respectful of how much time you got.
I do. I have another call coming up.
Okay, let me just do two more questions. One will be two more questions, and the second question is going to be just talk to us about Outsource School real quick. Is there anything else that you would recommend for business owners? Anything that you haven't covered that you would really recommend for them to keep in mind to have success with hiring foreign VAs?
Yeah, we have a hiring packet at Outsource School. If you go to
Okay.
outsourceschool.com, you can grab it right on the website. And it has everything from a VA calculator to our organic marketing blueprint that we do with VAs, to like a free training that we have on VAs. So check that out. I mean, hiring is a skill that you can learn. It's a skill you have to learn as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs that are bad at hiring, that have a lot of turnover, that don't hire A players consistently, struggle to scale and grow. And vice versa,
Hmm.
it's a very powerful tool. If you are good at hiring, it opens up everything because you know you can delegate anything anytime any problem comes up. So stick with it. It's a skill we all have to learn, and Outsource School is there to help. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of content every day on hiring and bookkeeping tips.
Yeah. And can you repeat the Outsource School website again, and then your LinkedIn? How do people find you there?
Yeah, just Nathan Hirsch on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. And then
Okay.
outsourceschool.com, exactly how it sounds.
Awesome. And if you guys don't know, his name is down below, so you can see that spelled out there for you. Nathan, just want to thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the valuable information. And until next time, sir.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.